at a National League of Cities meeting where somebody was telling us about the potential, and you went way beyond what they were doing. They basically set up where their council meetings were over, they would do a vignette on each subject so people could get the sense of what was going on in council and then determine if they wanted to go to the whole video. But here you've given people much more ability to be very precise and deal with it on demand. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rosendahl.
Yeah, I rise, having been the cable guy for many years, to say this is the most democratic, constituent-friendly strategy that anybody has put together in the nation, and I applaud you both very much for quickly acting on that. Democracy is all about information and access. The more we empower the people, the stronger the democracy becomes. And what this does now is give a person an opportunity to reflect on an issue, to go back to an issue, to look at the live dynamism of it, to go into the library and look at stuff. It truly gives us the opportunities that we didn't have before, and becomes an incredible tool in making the democracy work. Time Warner is now the only cable company in town. Where are they with their on-demand opportunities, and how would this local programming fit into Time Warner? And have they cooperated with you beyond just the Channel 35 in helping us go even further?
Well, I can say, since this is on my agenda, this is my 13th day, so I haven't had a chance yet to meet with Time Warner, but with Mark Wolf's help, we are planning on doing that.
Because they're on-demand business and their local programming, which of course I'm urging them to create a real public affairs channel that the city doesn't have with the local media who do soundbite journalism, which doesn't inform anybody about anything, but a real opportunity for substantive discussions, and tying this into that will even make it that much more effective. Great.
And joining us now is Claudia Dunn, Division Chief with the City Clerk's Office. Ms. Dunn, thanks for joining us on Council Week in Review.
Thank you, Jack. Nice to be here.
When most people think of video on demand, probably what pops into their heads immediately is movies, music videos, things like that. That's not what we're talking about here, of course.
No, it's actually Channel 35 simulcasts the City Council meetings. They transmit them on Channel 35 cable TV, and those are actually currently, up until this point, they're live on anyone's computer. You could watch the council meetings live. The additional feature that live on demand video streaming involves being able to also watch them live, but also to look at archive videos, the history. In other words, if you missed a meeting and you want to go back, you can call the meeting up and look at the meeting and review it. There's also an agenda, council agenda, that's on the homepage right next to the video, so that someone could track an item that's on that particular meeting agenda against the video itself.
Wow, that sounds very impressive. How did this come about? Obviously, the City Clerk's Office was involved, but I would assume other departments as well.
Yes, actually, I'd have to give a lot of credit to the support of Councilmember Parks. He was very much behind this. I believe he had seen it in another jurisdiction, and he was behind it. Council President Garcetti certainly, and then of course our City Clerk Systems Division worked very closely with the Information Technology Agency here to work this through with Channel 35, with ITA. It was definitely a collaborative effort, so there's a whole lot of people that deserve credit for this.
Yes, I recall from years way back, whenever there was a city event or major city public meeting, there would be videotapes, and I guess your office, the City Clerk's Office, was responsible for a long time for archiving all those.
That's correct. We still have an archive of videotapes, and they can also be on DVD. And if folks wanted to get a copy of a council meeting, they'd have to come downtown and pay some money and get a copy of the video or the DVD. This way, government is more accessible via your home computer. You can pick a meeting, look at it, and take a look, and you can search through it to see any point of the meeting that you want to see.
You mentioned city council meetings. Other kinds of programming and meetings as well?
Right now, we're aware that the Harbor Department has a similar video streaming set up, and they're sort of doing it right at this moment. In addition, there's other large cities doing this as well. San San Francisco, San Diego, there's Sacramento County, City of Irvine. However, we are definitely the largest jurisdiction in California to embark on this. We have way more meetings, obviously, than some of the other jurisdictions, and that was a challenge for implementation, certainly. And in addition, within the city, we are currently we were testing, and we actually included in all the City Council's Budget and Finance Committee meetings. So those are all archived on live streaming as well right now, currently.
Something that was probably very interesting to a lot of people who are watching on Channel 35, of particular interest to them. How would they find that discussion and view the vote? People who haven't come down perhaps to actually watch a meeting in person, maybe not even available, may not be aware of the agenda, for example, and the ways in which you can look things up.
Well, there's a couple of ways. If they go into the city's website and go to the live on-demand video streaming of city council meetings, they can click on it, and what will come up is a list of all the meetings that occurred in the past. It'll also show the current meeting if there's a current meeting being broadcast. However, if they're looking for a past meeting, there's actually they can click on a meeting if they actually know what meeting it is, and there's what they call a jump to menu beneath the video, and the jump to menu will take you to any portion of the agenda on the video that you want to see. Now, if you're not aware of what agenda item it is and you're looking for a specific topic, but you don't know what agenda item is, or you don't even know what meeting it's from, there's a search feature on the page, on the page with all the video, with all the history, and the search feature, you can type in a topic, let's say LA River, and everything will come. What will come up is the search feature. What will come up is every council discussion or item that incorporated those words, and you can search through that. You click on the words, and it's based on searching closed captioning and the items itself. You can click on the word, and it'll take you immediately to the meeting video and to the point in the video that you're searching for. And so that's amazing to me because boy, you could certainly just really jump all over looking at prior videos and really gathering information, as opposed to having to watch an entire video at home that you had reproduced and going through and searching and trying to find something that may or may not be what you're even looking for. So it's definitely a really positive project.
But you just really struck a chord with me, because I once had to go back and look through all the red flag, no parking, fire danger day actions that had gone through council and subcommittees. Some of these things take weeks or months or longer, in some cases years. How far back will we be able to search for these items?
Right now, our intention is to archive them and keep them up on the internet for 12 months. And then they'll be archived elsewhere. I believe that the intent is if someone wanted to go back further, we could certainly pull things back. But our intent is to keep 12 months for the public available.
Of course, when we broadcast city council meetings here on Channel 35, they're closed captioned. They're also simulcast in Spanish. Would those features be maintained in the archived versions, for example, of council meetings?
The closed captioning is available on the archived version. The Spanish simulcasting is not at this time. We're exploring that in the future. It's a little more complicated.
You mentioned archived availability. Can these also be podcast, for example, and downloaded?
Yes, there's actually a piece on the web page itself that indicates if you want a podcast, you can do that, and you can click on it and download it, similar to the way this is, but you can actually click on the feature and download it to your iPod through any internet source, and basically you've got the audio of the meeting on your iPod, and you can listen to it if you're walking through the park or picking up your kids at school or anything, and that's a really nice feature as well.
Back to the streaming on demand. Do you require any particular piece of equipment or any software programs or anything like that?
The minimum requirement is Windows Media 9, actually, and that's all that's required.
Listening to this, I'm just fascinated. I assume that this is really the cutting edge of this technology. Any other major cities around the country, maybe around the world, that have this kind of public access?
The ones we know of, there's the vendor that we've used is Granicus Incorporated, and they've actually done this for a number of cities, like I mentioned. Around the world, I'm not so sure. I'm sure I checked the website. They've got a whole lot of places that they're doing this with: San Luis Obispo County, Sacramento County, San Francisco. But it's definitely the wave of the future.
And I guess it's actually here now, at least as you mentioned earlier in the program, for some limited meetings and events already.
Yes, it is. we're obviously using it for budget and finance, and for the Harbor Department, as I mentioned, is doing it. Other departments are as well interested in exploring this, although no formal relationship's been set up at this time. One of the things that we've discussed with Channel 35, and I know that they're working on this to implement as well, is the broadcasting of the technology, using the technology for other commission meetings, city commission meetings, many of the Channel 35 programming, the Inside LAPD, any number of the programs that they have can be basically put into this system and put on anyone's, put into the system, archived. And basically what's really nice about this is because Channel 35, if you watch it on your television, is only really available to the city subscribers. However, now it's available all over because you can get it from your computer. So you would be able to watch Channel 35 programming from your computer, anything, not just city council meetings. So that's the wave of the future with the city.
That's really interesting because people in Narvik, Norway could be watching our council meetings.
Exactly.
This is obviously a very major undertaking and is clearly going to be quite labor intensive. Do you happen to know how this is being paid for, if it's requiring extra staff, who pays for it?
There's a contract with the vendor initially, and then a lot of it is being absorbed by and worked on by the IT, Information Technology Agency staff, the city clerk's system staff, and my staff in Council of Public Services. So it's pretty much, it's budgeted, it's a budgeted item, it's been handled and taken care of, and we think that we can use it to expand into actually a similar project that we're looking at, along with Council Audio, to do audio on demand for city council committee meetings. We're not quite ready to do televising at every one of the council committee meetings, but at least if we can do audio on demand, folks can actually pick up the archives of a council meeting, the audio portion, on the internet as well, instead of having to come downtown again and get a cassette tape of a meeting. So that's also something we're exploring with the existing funds.
Boy, the possibilities this opens up. First of all, anybody can go to a library if they don't have a computer or broadband at home anywhere in the world and watch this. Plus, who knows, interactive video possibly on the horizon if people can participate from remote locations?
Absolutely, remote meetings. I mean, it opens up a whole world, I think, of government communication, and I think that's what certainly the mayor and the council and the city is interested in pursuing.
And of course, Channel 35 is thrilled to be part of this with you. If our viewers wanted more detailed information about this new video on demand, who would they call? Where do they go? How do they find out about it?
Basically, they can go to the city's webpage, www.lacity.org, and the direct link is there to the live and on-demand council video streaming, and on there is some information if you need help, if you're having some confusion with using it. If folks want to talk to someone, a live person, they can certainly call my staff at the City Clerk's Office, Council and Public Services, at 213-978-1133, and they'll be happy to try to guide them through it, but if it becomes too technical, we may have to refer them, to a more technical person. But for now, we're more than willing to help folks.
Wow, welcome to the 21st century. Claudia Dunn from the City Clerk's Office, thanks for coming in on Council Week in Review.
Thank you so much, Jack.
Watch Council Week in Review for highlights of the week's council meetings and listen for the item numbers associated with those discussions you have an interest in, and then visit the World Wide Web. Listen to them in their entirety using the new Video on Demand. Just go to the city's website at lacity.org and follow the instructions on the screen. LA City View is the government access cable channel for the City of Los Angeles, featuring live coverage of city council meetings and programming about city department services and events. Now, if you have suggestions or comments about any of the programs you see here on Channel 35, or would like to receive a free viewer guide, call our viewer hotline at 213-473-3978. And remember, you can watch all Los Angeles City Council meetings live in their entirety on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays beginning at 10 a.m. On Sundays, you can watch the replay of all the week's meetings, also beginning at 10 a.m. Well, that concludes our program for the week ending May 11th, 2007. On behalf of Jerry Mendez and everyone here at Channel 35, I'm Jack Popejoy. Thank you for watching, and please join us for the next Council Week in Review.
Votar es genial.
LA City View Channel 35. Your city, your channel.
No. This is going live.
Good morning. This is the meeting of the Los Angeles City Council. It is Tuesday, May 15th. The City Council meets 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. They are open to the public. In addition, if you cannot be here personally, you can watch us on Channel 35, as well as go to the LA City website, www.lacity.org, to be able to hear about the proceedings. We are awaiting a quorum. A thank you to Mr. Alarcon, Mr. Cardenas, Ms. Hahn, Mr. Labange, Mr. Parks, Mr. Rosendahl, Mr. Smith, and Mr. Zine. We do need another member present. I understand the HCED committee is still meeting, so I'd ask Mr. Wiesar or Ms. Perry if they could please make their way down to the council chambers. It is now 10:15. Again, this is a quorum call. In a moment, we will be entertaining a motion for adjournment. Mr. Wiesar, I think Ms. Perry is arriving late, Mr. Reyes, Mr. Wesson, and Mr. Garcetti. Please make your way down to the City Council chambers. Otherwise, we'll be entertaining a motion for adjournment. Like to put on notice that if a council member does not arrive in 2 minutes, we will be adjourning this meeting. Thank you very much. Ms. Perry is here. I know you were not scheduled to arrive till 11:15. You were excused, so I appreciate you being here. Thank you. Madam Clerk, or excuse me, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Westenstein, Garcetti. 10 members present and a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you very much. First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Smith moves. Mr. Zine seconds.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Those will be approved.
Madam President, this is Tuesday, and there's a flag salute agendized.
Thank you. I'd like to ask Ms. Hahn to do the flag salute today.
Thank you. Please rise. Everyone, please rise and join me in saluting our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Someday.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hahn.
Thank you, Ms. Gruel.
Mr. Clerk.
Back under. Madam President, do you wish to take up public comment at this time?
Let's run through the agenda first, please.
Before beginning the regular agenda, there has been a request to continue item 12 for 1 week to May 22nd.
That will be continued to May 22nd.
There's also been a request to continue item 13 to Friday, May 18th.
And they're now asking for that to be held on the desk. Item 13 will be held on the desk.
First item on the agenda, item 1 is a street lighting ordinance notice for public hearing.
Thank you. That item is now before us.
And Madam President, we do expect 12 members today. Do you wish to hold this on the desk?
We hold that on the desk.
Items 2 through 11 are building safety liens notice for public hearing, and the department reports that items 5, 8, and 10 can be received and filed in as much as the liens have been paid or the ownership has been transferred.
Thank you. Those items then will be received and filed. We do have cards on items 6 and 7. So we will call those items special. The remaining, I think, the rest are also are not ordinances. So, Mr. Clerk, Madam Clerk, open the roll on the remaining items, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Thank you. Next items.
Items 12 through 19, with the exception of 12 that was continued, are items for which public hearings have not been held, or actually with public hearings have been held. IGR committee has submitted its report on item 18, and that has been distributed to all the members.
Okay, those items are now before us. Again, public hearings have been held on those items. Item 12 is continued. Item 13 is being held on the desk. Are there any specials? Mr. Parks? 14?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll call special by Mr. Parks. 14. Next item? Other specials, colleagues? If not, Madam Clerk, open the roll on the remaining items, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Those items have been approved. Next item.
Items 20 through 30 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration. And items 20 through 26 are also ordinances.
Okay, we will hold the ordinances on the desk. We do have a card on item number 28. You were going through 20 through 30, is that correct?
That's correct.
And item number 30, both have cards. So those will be called special. Any other items, colleagues, to call special? If not, Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Thank you. I think we have a request for item number 29 to go forthwith. Next item.
On the supplemental agenda, items 31 through 33 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Thank you. We do not have any cards on that, so...
there is a card on item 32.
Thank you. We'll call that item special. Any other specials? Ms. Hahn.
31. My thing is so...
Okay. Thank you. Any other? If not, Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Those items have been approved. We'll return, I think, to public comment, Mr. Clerk. Is that correct?
Yes, Madam President.
Thank you. Before we do that, I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Alacone for a special introduction.
Members, it's my pleasure to introduce a delegation from Taipei, the city of Taipei. This is the Rotary Club members from our sister city of Taipei. Mr. Labange, I hope that you will meet these folks. They want to get to know more about our sister city relationships. There are 9 members present, including Raymond Wang, former Consul General to Hawaii, and Rotary Club President Stone Lin, and also Jack Chen from my district, a businessman in the local area, and joining the group. And we welcome them here. They are here to learn more about how to deal with drug issues, drug-related issues. They are meeting with the LAPD. These are Rotarians, so they have their own businesses and other activities on the side, but as Rotarians, they are here to promote drug prevention and drug programs. So we want to thank them for being here, and we hope that this exchange will bring us a new understanding of how to solve this worldwide problem. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go to the Valley for our first public hearings. Donna Perlman, followed by Miriam Fogler. Ms. Perlman.
Hi, that's Perlman. Hi, City Council. I missed you last week, and you missed me last week. I miss you handsome men in your nice suits and pretty Madam President. How come when the city is in troubles, always the city employees have to forgo the cost of living increases, always the city employees who are threatened to let go? So municipal judges get raises, so City Council get your raises. How dare you ask for raises and ask the hardworking, very essential employees not to ask for cost of living increases? So why can't you lower your expectations for yourself? Say you won't take increases. Why don't you make yourself accountable for your income like you do the LAUSD? Say you'll pay out your expenses out of your pocket for extra expenses like teachers have to pay out of their pockets, or ask the parents to pay for every little extra thing, and local employee unions who don't help enough, they let their people forgo their cost of living increases. When the cost of taking care of children go up, especially schools and organizations, ask the parents to ante up. The parents who are city employees in need of cost of living increases. Right to the parents who lose their jobs because of so high-priced judges as in CRA will take the money. Last time I looked, the raises, other costs won't stand still, like food and utilities, while the city gets itself in good shape. I don't think so. Oh, by the way, the city employees did a really good job resurfacing our streets and deserve a raise like the other hardworking city employees. And I guess I'm running out of time. Bye.
Thank you. Miriam Fogler.
I concur on that because I just read today in the Daily News, if you go to that, folks, they passed a tax on us without the vote of the people. And that's illegal against the U.S. Constitution. I want to tell you guys, you're all human beings and you all are in the same boat as we are. You're all paying the taxes. Why don't you think about why you want to pay, ante up when it's affecting you as well as your pocket? Why not you be accountable for your salaries when you want to make the LAUSD accountable? Last week on Prop L, which I didn't get the right to speak because you didn't let me speak on that issue last week. I put my card in the middle of the meeting, but you didn't let me speak anyway, so I'm speaking right now that this is entirely not right to take over the board and not be accountable to the voters. The same should be all for the Board of Education, Board of Trustees, everybody down the line all the way up to the White House should all be accountable. Their salaries should be accountable to the voters, and the voters should have a right to vote on their salaries, not be tied in with the Ethics Commission so you get raises every year tied in with municipal judges. And the same thing, the state legislature and the public unions, do not cede your rights, because what they're doing is you're appeasing the politicians and you're letting them walk all over you. This is their little game that they're playing. We need to stand up to the plate and say, we are entitled to the raises. Now you're making a lot more money. You need to take a freeze on your raises and your salaries for years to come. The city's in the problem right now. We need to save our city from being to going into bankruptcy. And in the meantime, our city workers, our police, and our fire department need their cost of living COLAs. You cannot deny them this right. This is a right for them to have. They work very hard, and that's the way I feel, and that's the way the people should feel too. They're middle class workers.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Zuma Dog, followed by Michael Hunt, followed by Matt Dowd, Michael Carrion, and Oscar Johnson.
Yes, we had some photo opportunities. I'm sorry, Miriam, and nobody was listening. There was a photo opportunity here. By the way, I'd like to say I'd like the cards to be numbered or time-stamped. Me and my friends drove all the way downtown for a special committee meeting yesterday, and after 90 minutes of public comment, we were the first ones there. But somehow we didn't get called. We had 90 minutes of testimony. Somehow our 3 cards, the last cards called into record, we were the first ones there. I think that sucks. Now let's talk about something else I think sucks. $1.75 million you guys gave away to the Children's Museum on Friday. It's a non-secure loan. There's no interest on it. I'd like to know why you caved to Councilmember Alarcon. Nobody took leadership and said, excuse me, why are we giving what essentially comes down to a gift of the city to over this museum? You know, good for CM Alarcon for sticking up for his district. Y'all should have stood up for it. Why didn't you say, excuse me, but can you secure this loan with assets from the museum in case it can't get paid back? It doesn't say that the project gets finished. It just says it's going to keep the project going. What if the costs keep going up? You know, these are all things. So, you know, we're on to that. And Wendy Gruhl wants to be controller to go against these things. I say you shouldn't have let this happen. It's a bad starting point. All right, so let's see. Also, Beachhead article. Here's the thing right here, y'all. It's good to read. Zuma Dog supports reading, people. On the take, L.A. City Council and attorney accused of taking Playa Vista bribes. And Dennis Zine would like to be known that he did not take the money. He was the only council member who was in the paper that did not take the money. Right here. Why City Council City Council took money, then voted to approve Playa Vista. City attorney also implicated. And I've been saying that stuff all along, y'all. And I'd just like to say the L.A. River Project, shady as hell, y'all. You forgot to say you're going to turn it into the Condorado River. Ed Reyes calls it the L.A. River. Zuma Dog calls it the Condorado River, and it's shady, and we'll get more on that. It's about water rights, and you got big trouble, y'all. We got all kinds of problems. Zuma Dog for city controller.
Matt, I'm sorry, your time is up, Mr. Hunt. He can present. He can give that to the clerk. You're over your time. Mr. Hunt.
We're back in full effect, the Outlaws. What I seen last night was unacceptable, and we had some leaders there at this meeting that was fueling the fire. You asked Chief Bratton to comply, but yet the City Council don't comply with the Brown Act at the meeting. That was very despicable that you guys have a meeting, don't follow agenda, and don't follow the Brown Act. I thought that was very, very, very stupid of City Council calling for direct leadership and not following their own policy and procedure. What happens is you guys fuel the flame to the fire because there was a lot of angry people there. And then you guys don't follow your own policy and procedure, have an agenda meeting, but don't follow your agenda or don't follow the Brown Act. That was a bunch of crap. Is that okay, Mr. City Attorney? I mean, you looked at her like, you know, like that. But where's Mr. Reyes at? I'm really addressing it to him because it was in his district, And, you know, what he did was unforgivable. We were the first ones at the meeting and didn't get a chance to speak, and didn't get a chance to follow the Brown Act. And then you tell Chief Bratton, oh, he got to follow policy and procedure. Well, first, the leadership starts right here. If you guys can't follow policy and procedure, how are you going to expect your chief of police to do it? Think about it.
Mr. Dowd.
Yeah, thank you very much. Nice to be back. Channel 35. I know they missed me, but we've come to get on the merry-go-round because the games are getting played again. That public meeting last night. Talked about that. May the 2nd, I was in here. That was the last time because that was atrocious. But we see at the meeting the shuffling cards to the back. I want to talk about the performance of the city attorney. He's an idiot. Am I allowed to say that in the third person? I heard some things here last week. I'll take the tone down now because this is the important bit, okay? I heard Mr. Wesson say that this council is committed to protect the citizens from civil rights violation. I heard my good friend Mr. Tony Cardenas say the words, regardless of what they're saying and regardless of what they're wearing. So how come after 12 months we've been almost crucified for public speech, and yet all of a sudden, suddenly Fox 11 catches the atrocities and there's a huge public debate? Where's the mayor? Why wasn't he there last night? I saw Eric Garcetti show up for like 10 seconds and have his little, photo op with the media. The Outlaws are in court next week. Judge Dean Pregerson, May 24 over here in the District Court. We want to take this all the way to the Supreme Court. I hope you fight it. I hope you appeal. The magistrate judge gave us all the ammunition. We want to go to the Supreme Court. The tab's running. The attorney's $500 an hour. We're protected.
Michael Carrion.
Yes, my name is Michael Carrion, and I'm here again, to ask who is surprised here about what happened. I don't know why you guys got these looks on your face like, wow, look what happened. I've come here often enough and told you about the corruption in the police department, but nobody wants to hear it. In my community, we had the corruption is so bad that you might as well just pull out a checkbook and write the cops a check personally. Okay, I've come here and I've talked to my council office, I've talked to the city attorney, I've talked to everybody, but my comments fall on deaf ears. Everybody else's personal comments seem to come, personal conversations are more important. Like last night, everybody ran out the building in 5 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, take into consideration the lawsuits that you're going to get out of this one event. Have Laura Chick run some numbers for you. And with all that money that you would have saved by just educating these police that are out there a little bit more, you would have saved all that money. Instead, Chief Bratton says, we're going to pull them off and retrain them. You should have trained them from the beginning, not retraining. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Not all police officers are bad. But you do have the largest gang in Los Angeles wearing badges. I'm sorry, but if you live in La La Land, you don't live in the city of Los Angeles. Okay? LAPD have tattoos. They do everything that thugs do. They have a code of silence, and they operate just like the gangs do. If you guys are surprised, don't be. The biggest gang in the city is LAPD. And you know what? We pay them. Here, through their checks, and in the streets, with blood.
Next is, yes, Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Madam President. Just to briefly address the comments last night, that was a task force that under Government Code Section 54952B. It was an advisory ad hoc committee. There were only 6 members of council there, so it was not a council meeting. There were only 2 members of public safety there, so it was not a public safety meeting. Public comment was ordered legally, and it was appropriate that the community members would be given priority to speak over anyone else.
Oscar Johnson is our next speaker, followed by Arnold Sachs.
Yes, my name is Oscar Johnson, and I have complaints about the district attorney office, and I think that when we're making our complaint, we should have better representation instead of sending our complaint to the same center that we're complaining about. We should have a separate building, a separate business to send our complaint to, as though when we have a complaint against the Los Angeles Police Department. Because the Los Angeles Police Department isn't doing nothing more than the city of Los Angeles for the African American people. I guess there's race in our law that's involved, and that we'll just ignore with the law when it comes to protecting us as they would do other citizens in the city. And I have a complaint against the MTA board. The MTA bus drivers don't have any identification badges on them when they're driving the bus, and we don't have no complaint form on the bus to make a complaint against the MTA. And we have to go to the MTA place on Gateway to make the complaint. And I would think we should have something separate from the MTA administration when we're making a complaint against the MTA. And I see where the mayor of Los Angeles has let Hollywood take over downtown Los Angeles from the citizens. They have stopped streets, blocked off streets. You can't go on certain streets. You can't stop at certain bus stop for Hollywood to keep all their junk downtown. I think, I guess, some change needs to come to government, though, with the type of representation we get and the type of people in leadership in Los Angeles. I think the district attorney, the mayor, and the chief of police all need some going through and overhaul in their business, in their administration, to find out why we can't do something more moral and more different for the city of Los Angeles that we are sworn in to uplift and pay to protect and to serve. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs.
Good morning, council members. Thank you very much. I just want to comment on a few things. A lot has been written lately regarding the actions taken by the court overturning the living wage ordinance and the effect that it has on the city of LA. And basically what's happening is that the city council is being absolved of having any kind of responsibility in that it was the court overturning this ordinance, when in fact it was the city council's own actions by implementing almost the exact same ordinance and disregarding California government rules in enacting the exact same ordinance, which brings me to another point. When the city council enacted an ordinance over the air rights, and the mayor vetoed it, the city council reenacted an ordinance and it passed through. So it can be done. And this is my other word. Why is the city's attorneys so up to date on procedural facts that don't really matter that much in these hearings, when in fact he missed his boat on the ordinance initiative? He missed a boat on the overturning of the cell phone tax that's going to cost the city $160 million because they didn't follow state rules. It seems to me that we need to there's a little bit of misguidance here. I think this should be addressed. And also I'd like to address something that occurred last week. You had an enhancement for Johnny Cochran Way, and I missed an additional enhancement that I'd like to add to that. You need to put in a drive your Bronco like OJ did, with or without the gun to your head, slow lane, so that trailing patrol cars don't lose you. And finally, there's been some problems in San Pedro with the Little League field. Where are the Dodgers on this item?
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. That closes public comment. Mr. Clerk, we do have 12 members present. We'd like to go to those items that require ordinance.
Yeah, Madam President, that's item 1 and 20 through 26.
Those items are now before us, colleagues, items 1 and 20 through 26. Madam Clerk, please call the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
12 ayes.
Those items have been approved. And I think, Mr. Clerk, they want to continue item number 13 to tomorrow. First item.
Item 6 was called special for a card from the public.
We have 2 cards, Mr. Michael Hunt and Mr. Matt Dowd. Michael Hunt? He's not here. Mr. Dowd.
Thank you. Hello. Yeah, there's a problem with the audio. I can't hear myself speak. That's always going to be a problem. Mr. City Attorney, can you tell me how much time I got available today? Because normally that should be announced at the beginning of the meeting, and I got a number of items on the record to speak about. So can you tell me if there's a rule on that today? Stop the clock while we check this out, because it changes every day.
Well aware that 6 minutes total for
Starting now?
Council Rule 7 dictates 5 minutes.
Not including public comment? Okay. Yeah, look, I want to talk about this item 6. Another one of these, they're charging someone $20,000 to clean up their property for them, yet this is a city well known for not cleaning up its own property. If you listen to the public comment, that's continually here and never gets dealt with.
Thank you. That closes public comment on this item. Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
12 ayes.
Next item.
Item 7 called special for cards from the public.
Michael Hunt, Matt Dowd.
Yeah, since I've only got 5 minutes, I got more important ones, so I'm going to waive this one thing.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please open the roll on this item, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
12 ayes.
This item been approved. Next item.
Item 14 was called special by Councilmember Parks.
Mr. Parks, item 14.
This is my only item. Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to ask the controller staff to come up. We'd just like to give the council an overview of the proposed audit that we've asked the controller to do dealing with the issue of grants. It's something that we found in our research. It must be about 5 different motions that have circulated all the way back to 97 when Ms. Chick was a council member. And so if you can give us kind of an overview of what the scope, depth, and breadth of your audit's going to be so we can inform the public and the council.
Good morning, Farid Safar with Office of Controller. Controller has agreed to conduct a performance audit of the existing grant monitoring process. As part of the scope of the audit, we would evaluate the existing processes being used by various city departments in identifying and applying for various grants. We're also going to identify problems, and one of the main points would be in the ways that we can identify and processes that can streamline the grant application and grant processing. As part of this review, we also intend to hire expert consultants to assist us in best practices in identifying what other municipalities or cities are doing in terms of making the best use of available grants. To date, we have conducted our preliminary assessment, gathering some information with regard to what departments and what processes are in place with regard to the highest number of the grantees and grantors within the city. We have a task order out to hire a consultant by next week, and we are also scheduled to provide opportunities for a member of AGE and Budget and Finance to be interviewed and provide their comments and concerns with regard to various problems cited in the grant monitoring and grant
application.
Okay. Colleagues,
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Before you speak, we have a lot of noise in the council chambers right now. If we could please ask everyone to take their conversations outside.
Thank you, Madam President. Let me just, for the general public and the council members, the reason for this motion and asking the controller to spend some time on this is that we've had a historical concern of different members about the lack of coordination on grants, a lack of consistency in the grant administration. We have had numerous departments seeking grants without overall control or evaluation. We've also had some issues to deal with front money in the sense of matching funds and such that often we're into the grant before there's been any oversight as to those issues. There also been the issue of whether grants were received and did we get a fair return on that investment. The other issue is that the issue is whether we just use our process efficiently. And so what we're asking Mrs. Chick to do is to look at the whole process of our application, looking at how we apply for grants, how we administer them, and whether should be a centralized process of review and administration of grants within the city, and also a centralized view of whether we should seek certain grants. And so we wanted to just bring forth this motion. It's something that has been discussed in Budget Committee for the last couple of years, and all the way back is what we can find since '97. Some parts of it have been a part of different motions. And so we just asked you, what is the timeline that you think we get some return, at least on the RFP that's going out or the hiring, and what would be the timeline of the finishing of this project?
We're looking, Sarah Glick, Internal Auditor, Controller's Office. We're looking at November. We are having our entrance conference meeting with the CAO this Friday because of the budget process. We had a difficult time scheduling that. So right now we're looking at November for the final report.
Final report to us by November?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Parks, for your leadership, and we are looking forward to that review. We did talk quite a bit about it in committee and how many years we've been talking about having this type of audit, so pleased that the controller is going to be able to pursue that. That item is now before us. Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
That item's been approved. Next item.
Item 28, call special for cards from the public.
Yes, Zumadog on item number 28.
Yes, this kind of ties into that. First of all, regarding this does say grant money. Councilmember Parks, thank you so much. That's exactly what I was talking about last week, that all these nonprofits need to have a little audit before they get on the money list. I can't believe Zumadog and Parks on the same page, y'all. I'm becoming a fiscalist, y'all, in my activism. Let's talk about this LA for Kids Steering Committee relative to acceptance of California Prop 40. Youth Soccer and Recreational Development money is $1 million. And all I want to say, Zumadog's been looking into these. I got this back computer that I run these nonprofits through. There's a lot of shadiness running through these nonprofits. And again, that's a lot of money, $1 million. And LA for Kids sounds really good, y'all. But they put these clauses in these things and you don't get what you pay for. And so I hope that this item right here, you're talking about $1 million, y'all. So I hope that that runs through an audit as well. Because we got, my back computer says these things are shady as hell, y'all. Thank you.
That item is now before us. Mr. Clerk, or Madam Clerk, excuse me, open the roll, close the roll. What? Yes, I'm sorry, your card was not here. Please go ahead and speak. Go ahead and please fill out a card afterwards.
Yes, thank you. This is a good one. It looks good. It should be good. $1 million grant for this soccer field project. The only problem I have with it is I'm calling for the firing of the general manager of the Department of Recreation and Parks, because you're asking him to execute, negotiate, submit all the documents, but he's the guy who's also behind all these permits that Parks issued for Venice Beach. And we're about to have a judge strike that down, preliminary injunction next week, and you're letting the Department of Parks and Rec run amok out there. They made up all these rules, but they're discretionarily enforcing them. and he's behind it all. We're about to have him shut down the whole system, and I got my doubts about this one, where the money's going to end up, whether it's going to go to the right place, because they don't really know what they're doing out there, and we're proving it.
Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
Next item.
Item 30, called special for cards from the public.
Zuma Dog, Michael Hunt, and Matt Dowd.
Oh no, we're talking about track maps. Let me explain what that is, y'all. When you got some kind of project they want to build in the city, what they do is they open up the window. Hey, we're open for business, everybody. You know, what do you want to do? Well, all these high-density construction projects, they're the ones that want to do business, and they have this thing called a track map. It's kind of like a blueprint for density, and that's when all the zoning changes and all the fudging and all those things occur. All the shadiness happens right here. Now, I'd also like to say regarding the track maps that there's something called vacancy rates under the charter of the Los Angeles City Charter, and that's been ignored. Excuse me, I can't even have myself think, y'all. Excuse me, can I please have everyone's attention? There's something called vacancy rates, and that's in the charter, and the city's been ignoring that. So what's happening now is when these track maps come before the local planning commissions, the local planning committees, like the West Los Angeles one, they're saying, no, we got vacancy rates, and you're ignoring that, and the people can't find anywhere to live. So we're saying, no, you can't have these track maps. So now what's happening is you're going to see a lot of appeals coming before council from the developers. You saw it last week. There's about 3 of them now. One of them's from Michael Zenon, who has he applied for right now there's a complaint with the Building and Safety Department over fraudulent permits at Burnell Hill. He was deceitful in the information he provided. I gave a copy of the city clerk's office, so please look for that, because you don't want to be approving condo conversions on these track maps when you got people doing fraudulent permits. And so we need to check the vacancy rates of all these. I want to make sure right now that all the council members know that these track maps that they're voting on are that are not in violation of charter, are not in violation of vacancy rates, and if they do come upon appeal from the local commissions, you're going to have to be the ones to you're going to have to sign it in your blood, because you're going to have to go against all community input and say, we don't care, we know that we're getting rejected by the community, but we're in the back pocket of developers, so we're going to approve it. So that's what we're going to find out. And also, I hope you don't get variances based on where you buy your lumber.
Michael Hunt.
Yeah, what we're tracking, Matt. Track max. I'm a pass on this one. But
Mr. Dowd.
See, look what happens when you deny us a little public comment at a little neighborhood meeting.
It appears to be off topic, Madam President.
Oh, I haven't got to the point yet. How can you make a judgment already? This is public comment on an item on the agenda, and all I'm saying, you get the outlaw circus where, you aggravate it, you're asking for it. Hey, Eric Garcetti, how you doing today?
Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
14 ayes.
Item's been approved. Next item.
Item 31, called special by Councilmember Hahn.
Ms. Hahn.
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to call this special because Councilmember Wesson and Councilmember Tony Cardenas presented this as a way for us to really begin reaching out to the County of Los Angeles in our attempt to get a handle on gang violence, get a handle on how we might prevent young people from joining gangs in the first place. And I will say, we in the city of Los Angeles have been very proactive. I mean, we have the ad hoc committee on gang violence, which Tony chairs so well. We've had the advancement project, spend a lot of time and dollars in assessing what we in the city of Los Angeles are doing in terms of spending money on suppression, intervention, prevention. This is an opportunity for us to do what everyone's been saying we should do. It's a regional problem. Gang violence is a regional problem, and it takes a regional solution. This motion will allow us to begin to reach out to the County of Los Angeles, reach out to the other cities, to the other school districts, and, form partnerships in ending gang violence. We know that gang members don't respect any particular jurisdiction necessarily, and that we can prevent kids from joining a gang in San Pedro and Wilmington, but kids growing up in Carson might join a gang and ultimately cause violence for our neighborhoods as well. If you've heard anything about me, you know that I talk about the GAP program, Gang Alternative Program. You know that. This is a program that goes into the 4th grade and teaches kids at that age how to not join a gang. That program actually started in Paramount. And we took that curriculum from Paramount and we put it into cities in Los Angeles, but we've also expanded that to cities in Carson and Long Beach. So this is a good opportunity for us to hold public meetings, reach out to other elected officials in the other cities surrounding Los Angeles, and come together with better evidence, better statistics, a better agreement on a way to partner to solve gang violence in this entire region. So I really want to thank Tony and Herb for bringing this up. It's a great opportunity. I really want to be involved in this. Many of my cities in my council district certainly are right up against county cities that would benefit from us partnering to prevent gang violence in the future. So this is a great idea. It makes sense. I think the County of Los Angeles just recently, as this motion suggests, introduced a motion that instructed them to look at forming a working group with us to finally solve gang violence in the future. I think it's a time in history, members, that we've never had before. We've spent a lot of money on suppression. We've spent a lot of money on arresting gang members, and yet we have twice as many gang members, 7 times as many gangs as we did 20 years ago. Whatever we've been doing up until this point has not worked. We need to take a new approach to gang violence, and for me, that's working together with the county, working together with the schools, and finally agreeing that we should be spending more money on the front end, preventing kids from joining gangs in the first place, giving them after-school programs, and spending more money trying to help young people turn their lives around and have a productive life. So great motion, guys, and I really appreciate that, and I really want to be involved in helping, particularly in the public outreach sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wesson, followed by Mr. Cardenas and Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Madam President and members. This motion was introduced because I think that it's important that the City of Los Angeles be part of what I believe will be a different approach in our attempt to deter young people from entering gangs. I had the opportunity to serve with the chair of our ad hoc committee, Tony Cardenas, in the Assembly for 4 years. And I know people probably get tired of hearing, well, Tony and I did this and Tony and I did that. But the one thing that Mr. Cardenas, one area where he established himself as an expert or a person who really cares about young people was Mr. Cardenas. He passed landmark legislation that directed millions of dollars to the Los Angeles area to do just that. So he and I felt that it was important that the ad hoc committee on gangs would be at the forefront of this discussion. Several months ago, we made a request to the CAO, or I made a request to the CAO and the CLA's office, and I didn't make myself clear. I just wanted to know how we could begin this dialogue, this regional dialogue, and they came back to me with the technical approach, what was accurate, where we could do JPAs and MOUs and things of this nature. But what I really wanted to do was what the county did last week. We know that it's going to probably take additional resources, especially in the intervention and prevention areas. But I also think that it's important for us, before we try to gauge how much additional money we're going to need, to work with all of the entities, the state, the county, the school district, the city of Los Angeles, and the other surrounding cities to try to find out exactly what each entity is doing to try to prevent youth from getting into gangs and those that are trying to get kids that are in out. I think it's important that we look at all of the resources and see if there's ways in which we can blend programs and maximize the amount of coverage that we have. It only makes sense to me that if you've got two entities doing the same thing in the same location, maybe there's a way that they can partner and that this would work better. The last thing that I want to say is that a lot of times you hear about the county of Los Angeles, you hear about the city of Los Angeles, and I'm here to submit to you that the other cities rarely are engaged. And what we wanted to do, because this is a regional problem, is afford them the opportunity to get engaged in this discussion. So the second part of our motion, which would allow us to outreach to these other cities, I think they will view it that we are really treating them respectfully, that we are really, for the first time, according them the opportunity to give significant, legitimate input into this discussion. And I also believe that given Ms. Hahn's experience in this area, based on the district that she represents, that she would volunteer to put additional things on an already full plate shows me her commitment to try to ensure that everyone is engaged, because you could live in Glendale, you can live in LA, you can live in Long Beach or whatever. There's no way that you can feel safe. No person is safe until all people are safe. And I think that this affords us an opportunity to give our children options. So with that, I would urge all of us to vote aye on this motion so that we can be at the forefront in creating some kind of collaborative approach where we incorporate the best minds from throughout the county of Los Angeles. So I think this is a good idea. I think the chair, Mr. Cardenas, is the right person to help drive this home with the assistance of the great council member from the 15th District.
Thank you. Mr. Cardenas.
I'm up. Thank you. Thank you, Herb Wesson, for giving us more work. I say that jokingly, but the bottom line is this is the work that we need to do. Juvenile delinquency doesn't know any boundaries. Young people, when they do the kinds of things that we don't want them to do, they don't consider where they're at. It happens where it happens. And the fact of the matter is we are the largest city within the county of Los Angeles, but yet there's 6 million people outside of the city of Los Angeles that the county has responsibility for. I want to name 3 organizations that we should be collaborating with better, and I think this motion at the county level and our responding by Herb Wesson moving forward and asking for my support on this is that the county probation officers are in our city every day. The county probation officers are dealing with thousands of our young people, Angelinos, every single day. You have the county sheriff's department. The county sheriff's department are the ones that man the actual places in which these young people unfortunately get incarcerated, yet the sheriff's department has some very innovative, active programs dealing with young people throughout the county, but not within the city. That's an opportunity for us to collaborate with them, to learn from them, and for them to learn from us. In addition to that, you have a school district that goes beyond the city of Los Angeles boundaries, and the school district needs needs to be collaborating with ourselves and the county as well. Those are just 3 examples of why this motion makes sense for us to put together a formal working group that is actually talking about the things that are happening today, the things that have happened yesterday, and the things we need to do tomorrow, and do them in a way in which we're working together, saving the taxpayers money by being more efficient, and doing it in a way where we're actually saving lives because we're doing it better and smarter every single day rather than reinventing the wheel within the city of Los Angeles, when right here within our neighborhood, within the county, we have practices that we're not aware of that they're actually engaging in. So I think this is very important for us to engage in this and to have this formal committee and to send our representatives to work with the county, the school district, the sheriff's department, Department of Probation, and all the organizations that are working with our young people to keep them off the street and to keep them on the straight line, to keep them in school, and to do all the things that we want for our children. So it's very important for us to collaborate with the county. They made the first step of saying they want to do this. We're now making the second step by saying, let's collaborate together. Let's formally do this. Not informally, but formally do this. So thank you for your motion, Mr. Wesson.
Thank you. Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Madam President. I worked LAPD last night in my fugitive warrant detail assignment, and we were at Central Jail, and the reason I'm talking about this is because it really hits home. There was a young man who was in custody. He had tattoos on his neck identifying the gang he belonged to, tattoos on his face, and I asked him, how old are you? He said, I'm 28 years old. I said, how long have you been in a gang? Basically his whole life. When they're 28 years old, and there's a life of violence and a life of gangs. How many times have you been to prison? He couldn't count how many times because it's been the revolving door. He was arrested again last night. Prevention is going to be the key to success. And this issue of incarceration, they get incarcerated, they do a little time, they get back out. But a man walking around with gang tattoos on his neck, it sends a message of defiance. It sends a message to the community that he resides that he's going to intimidate people. And I know that we've spent millions upon millions upon millions of dollars trying to do something to curtail the problem. In Ms. Han's district, and I worked down there, the gangs run and intimidate a lot of people. We need to do something in a proactive fashion. And what troubles me is oftentimes people come up with programs, we don't really identify if they're good or bad, and then we fund them. And if we look at the millions of dollars that we funded, and that's why I think when Martin Ludlow started this, and Tony Cardenas is now chairing the committee to identify those programs that we can really find successful, and the cooperation with the other agencies is critical. But if you look at the history, we have been fighting this battle for so long, and we really haven't succeeded. Graffiti is all over, which identifies gangs. The gang violence in the Valley was up over 40%. Gang shootings, it doesn't seem to end. So I commend my colleagues that are bringing forward another approach and not just throw more money on top of more money on top of more money, because obviously that hasn't solved the problem. And I was going to take a picture of this young man and show it because it's so depressing to see him, 28, and I thought about, he's got a mom and a dad and relatives. How do they let a person deteriorate to that point where he's walking around basically a billboard for gang violence and gang activity? It was really, really sad. So he'll spend more time in jail. He'll go through the system again. And that's one person that I don't think we'll be able to save. But the youth that are in elementary school, the youth in middle school, hopefully we can penetrate that and get them off of that track before they get on that track of violence and that track that ultimately leads to an early death. So thank you for bringing this forward, Mr. West and Mr. Cardenas. And Janice, we're with you trying to stem the tide, because your community has a lot more violence than other communities, and if we work it at a young level, hopefully we'll have some impact and make a turnaround with the other entities of government, and not just throw away the money, but invest it in the future of our city. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to ask Mr. Michael Hunt, followed by Matt Dowd.
Yes, I will be talking on this one, and I too support this, but I think you guys are missing the whole point. I like to use the old African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. You guys need parent youth activity leagues out there governing their own kids, because they're the best police that you can ever buy or even afford. They stop their kids from being in gangs until you guys recognize that the men in blue and the men in green really can't do anything. You guys need to start hiring their parents. And I bet you have a different response to what the child is going through and what they're doing as far as after-school programs. If you hire the parents activity leagues. We did it in '93, right after the riots with Lee Bacher, sheriff. All the parents got together and came together. In the 7 years, we converted because the parents was in charge. Once you guys remember that and you guys devote more money to the parents and getting the parents involved with their kids, that's when you're going to have less crime, because the parents is the ultimate teacher, and they're going to look up to their parents before they look up to any police officer, any school teacher, anything. So it, in a nutshell, is called Parents Youth Activity Leagues, that you guys need to be investing your time, money into the parents so that they can develop their kids and be respectful and earn a paycheck so that they can take care of their kids, so that they'll listen, because a lot of the parents are at work. That's why they go to the gangs, and when they go to the gangs, the gangs become their parents, and you have more street crime. So let me say this again. In 1993, after the riots, I worked with the sheriff department, and we developed parents that was in charge, and we made the parents see after their own kids, and it worked out a lot better than the sheriff department, the police department, or any other department, because we know it takes a village to raise a child. Get these churches, get everybody involved with what needs to go on, and you guys will have it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Dowd.
Yes, thank you. I like the idea of the collaboration. I pointed out one time there isn't even a link between the Sheriff's Department website and the LAPD website, which I think is a little bit unusual. But beyond this, we really need to start in the schools as well. And I remember when I was at school, see, they don't have the right counseling. Kids need to be counseled and directed, and you need to find out what these kids want to do, because everybody wants to do something when they're young. And what happens is you herd these people through curriculums and things that they don't want to be involved in, and you get kids who are no good at math, and suddenly they become trouble in a math class because they're not interested, but they could be the greatest fashion designer that ever stepped foot through Hollywood. So you need to identify what kids want to do and help them see, because when kids have a purpose and when they have a direction, they know that if they get in trouble, that's going to ruin their dream for them. But once you force kids into a life that they don't want to go through, then they got nothing left to lose. And you got LAPD out there harassing them on the street. They end up in jail. We know that jails are overcrowded. Time served gets reduced to nothing. So jail loses its effectiveness. So what do you expect? Of course there's going to be repeat offenders. You're never going to clean up the gangs. So Janice Hahn's right. I heard Jan Perry say some good things a couple of weeks ago too. But you've got to get them early, and you've got to give kids a purpose and a direction. And that starts in the schools, not with AB 1381. We don't need the mayor taking over the schools and the construction budget. We need to get kids with direction, purpose. You know, I wanted to be an engineer, but no, I got herded through Latin.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Dowd. Madam Clerk, open the roll on this item, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
15 ayes.
That item's been approved. Next item.
Item 32 is called special for cards from the public.
Thank you. Is Miriam Fogler still in the valley? Will you check and see if she is still there?
And I asked to speak on...
Thank you, Miriam. We'll be... There you are. We did have your... Hold on one second, Miriam. We can't hear you. Hold on 1 minute. We'll start your clock over again. Can you speak in the microphone again, Ms. Fogler?
Yes, I can. Why couldn't
you.
I speak on 31? Because I was going to talk about...
Your card, you did not submit a card on 31. It was only 32.
Yes, I did. I called the...
Ma'am, they just brought it. So if you'd like to go ahead and speak on 31.
Okay, then I can speak on 32, right?
So if you can hold on, we need to reconsider item number 31 to hear your public statement. Madam Clerk, open the roll on reconsideration on 31. Close the roll. Tabulate the votes.
15 ayes.
Please go ahead, Ms. Fogler.
Thank you very much. I wanted to let you know that we're all together on this planet together. The gangs, the reason why they're here is because there's a lack of being in touch with spirituality of God. It doesn't matter if you're Christian, Muslim, Jewish, whatever, Buddhist. We all need to unite. There's groups called the Interfaith Councils. We need to get them in touch with these gangs, and I think it would help a lot if the council people would reach out to the different, I know that we have separated church and state, but certain parts that we can reach to the parents who maybe are, whatever religion, denomination they are. We can reach out to them and try to get these people involved in being with seminars with God, because we are living by the Ten Commandments in this country, living by God, under God. When we say the Pledge of Allegiance, we need to teach these kids about God, how important his life is so precious, how they can be a part of our society, what Matt Dowd was saying, how we can help them steer them to the right way. Like I have a child. I'm doing the same thing with her. She loves horseback riding, so I send her every week. We got to help these kids to do whatever is positive, the right way. If they do something wrong, okay, you discipline them, but you don't slap them really hard, to the point where you make them rebellious. You help them turn them the right way to come towards their way. I don't care what ethnicity or what race you are. I know you can do it. There was a gentleman in the Daily News a couple of days ago in the Sunday paper. He was on crack cocaine, and he grew up and he's become an attorney. He's working in Sacramento as the assistant city attorney. And we can do it, and they can do it. Anybody can do it if they have the desire to be with God, and that's what you serve. You serve God here, and that's the point. The point is that why we take an oath, allegiance to God, and that's important.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fogler. Madam Clerk, open the roll on this item, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
15 ayes.
We're now on item number 32. Ms. Perry, we'll hear from Ms. Fogler, and then we will go to you. Ms. Fogler?
Hi, yes. I'm talking to you that why do we have to litigate to stop the redevelopment agency from taking over people's communities? Because you're being irresponsible with the fiscal budget. Because here, this is money that we could be using instead of taxing people for their cell phones. The CRA is just taking all the tax increment money. Every time they put up a building or something, they get the money instead of the cities and the counties. Secondly, the developers get the property below market value, and that really hurts the market economy, and it hurts the city too and the county, because they don't get the revenue that's needed to operate the city and the county, and we're faced now with this cell phone tax, and it's a shame that we cannot control the CRA under the planning department. Why do we have to have a private agency? Now I know I don't want to bite the hand that fed our family when growing up. My dad worked for the electrical union that works under these developers. I mean, they are good and bad, but unfortunately, the private is taking the public funds, we need those public funds now to make up the difference, the shortfall. Because I don't want to have cutbacks, and I don't want I want employees to get their COLAs, and I want accountability for to have all our elected officials be accountable and have their salaries scrutinized, just like the old days. Repeal R, not really, repeal R and H. And we'll have to watch L and have it tied to the city council too for their salaries. The same thing. We need accountability, period. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Hunt, followed by Zuma Dog, followed by Veronica Perez Becker. Michael Hunt? Zuma Dog? And Mr. Dowd, you had reached your total minutes, so...
Yes, thank you so much. This is crazy. The CRA is shady as hell. The first day I walked into City Hall, they say, Zuma Dog, look into the CRA. They get hundreds of millions of dollars of loans from the taxpayers, and they never pay them back. The paying back magically evaporates. Right now, it's another lawsuit. I can't believe this. The County of Los Angeles is suing the board of directors of the CRA, the shady as hell organization, going to cost us money. Not only does the CRA cost us money by taking our tax dollars, going in and stealing your homes under eminent domain however they can to clear it out to make these high development projects. If the contracts go to the short list of preferred contractors, there's all types of crazy subsidies, and the CRA is robbing people's homes, and they're taking your money, and they're just using it to get themselves rich and putting all the developers in their back pocket. It's crazy, and now it's so crazy that the County of Los Angeles is suing the board of directors of the county, of the community redevelopment agent. How much money is it going to cost this lawsuit now? I want to be here for the closed settlement. Do we get to find out how much we're going to have to pay the CRA in this lawsuit? How come the county is suing the CRA? It's a community redevelopment agency. So much shady money runs through there that the whole CD14 is about to just cave in from it. The community can't withstand the CRA. It's shady as hell. I'm sick of them. Pay back the millions of dollars you own. Quit taking people's homes. Quit doing these shady projects just to make the money off the construction. Here's what the CRA does. They step in, they take your home.
You could please lower your voice.
They say, what?
Please do not scream into the microphone.
Only everybody else can. Only everybody else can, okay? Well, I'll try to calm down. Excuse me if I get upset when the CRA, Community Redevelopment Agency, comes in and all they do is redevelop their own selves. They kick you out of their homes. They take your money. They do these construction projects that are way too expensive because everybody's making money, and it's crazy, and we got water rights, and this goes very, very deep, y'all. The CRA, it's tied into things very, very high. And this is terrible, and the whole city's going to go bankrupt over this CRA, and now they're getting sued. Kick them out of town.
Mr. Hunt.
Good morning again. I'd like to waive my time to the Honorable Matthew.
You are not, sir. That is not allowed. Please.
Why is it? The
He's
rule
reached
says that's
his.
not
He's
allowed.
reached his rules.
Huh?
He's reached his number of minutes in his
Right,
comment
but
today.
I'm waiving my time. Mr. City Attorney, can you please help me out on this one? I don't see no rules up here that says I can't waive my time.
We do not normally waive your time to give to someone else.
But I've seen it done before too. I mean, I've seen.
Would you
other
like? Please go ahead and finish your comment. If you'd like to comment on this item.
No, wait. I'm asking Mr. City Attorney because I've seen other organizations come in here and waive their time to other people, and I'm not being allowed to do this under what circumstances, under what grounds, Mr. City Attorney? I'm asking you a question. You usually come up with the rules.
Madam President, he doesn't appear to be speaking to the topic.
Well, no. I'm asking you the rules on waiving my time because I've seen other organizations come up here and do that.
The rules are in the city clerk website.
Yeah, shouldn't they? I mean, is that adequate? Shouldn't they be posted here like the rest of the rules of decorums?
If you'd like to speak to the item, Mr. Hunt, I've indicated he's reached his time period. It is under the discretion at this point in time of my office. I understand you're trying to clarify, and I'm clarifying for you that it is under our discretion.
Under what rule? Can you? I mean, just
as he indicated, it is posted on the website. If you would like to, please continue your comments. And I'm indicating to you that we are not yielding your time to Mr. Dowd, who has reached his period of time.
But I'm asking you what rule says I can't do that. That's what I'm asking.
There are rules posted on the podium in front of you, sir.
None's concerning that, though. I'm asking you what rule says that.
Our next speaker, Ms. Veronica Perez Becker.
Good morning. I'm Veronica Perez Becker from the Central City Association. We support Councilmember Perry's willingness to challenge the city center decision. From a business perspective, it does not make sense to give the CRA land use approvals if they don't have any incentives to offer the developer. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Perry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It has been recommended or suggested to me that we go into closed session on this item.
Mr. City Attorney?
Yep, based on...
She's requested us going into this.
Right, and we agree. Based on Government Code Section 56.9A.
Thank you. If we could ask you people to clear the chambers. We will now go into executive session.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're back in open session. Madam Clerk, I think we're going to receive and file this item, item number 32. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
15 ayes.
Thank you. And I do think it is important to note for the public, one of our public comment speakers asked about the rule that we use, which is not to yield to another speaker. In fact, it was highlighted on the podium there, specifically in bold letters, that time may not be yielded to another speaker pursuant to Council Rule number 7. Because we were not standing at the podium, we were not able to identify that at the time that it in fact was on the podium. So, Mr. Clerk, next item.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those will be posted and referred.
There are excuses on the desk. Councilmember Cardenas requests to be excused to leave at 11:45 on Friday, May 18th, and at noon on Friday, June 8th for city business. Both meet the council policy.
Be excused.
Councilmember Weiss requests to be excused for the meetings of August 7th, 8th, 10th, 14th, 15th, and 17th for personal business. That meets council policy.
Be excused.
And Councilmember Weezer requests to be excused to arrive at 11:30 on Friday, May 18th for city business. That also meets council policy.
He will be excused.
That clears the desk.
Thank you. Any announcements today, colleagues? Yes, Mr. Labange.
Members, I just wanted to thank you for all the support last week at the fire in Griffith Park and let you know we're taking the time to make assessments for safety and open up much of the park. The interior of the park is now restricted for safety reasons, but working with John Muckery and others, we focus on making it safe as we invite people back and work with the mayor's office. Also got great telephone calls from Diane Watson and Adam Schiff, our representatives in Washington, who were very concerned, as well as Paul Kokorian and Michael Fear from Sacramento. So thank also my colleagues here for the calls that many of you made during the time of the crisis. No homes were lost in this. One city truck at the Commonwealth Yard of the nursery. No one was seriously hurt. And I also want to thank, and I mean this sincerely, the Department of Water and Power, who upgraded that system under the guidance of the late, great John Ferraro, which made a big difference because the water was so important. Pressure always was good. Thank you, members.
Thank you, Mr. Bond. Ms. Hahn.
Give a shout out to our colleague Tom Labange. You really made us all very, very proud to really be in this, to have you as one of our colleagues. It was great watching you out there. You were not just, there with sound bites. You were fighting the fire. I mean, we knew that you were actually helping to redirect resources. You knew that park like the back of your hand. As you said, you been hiking there since you were 7 years old. It was great morale booster for our fire department, for you to continually, every time you had an opportunity, to praise them. You gave a shout out to 38s from Wilmington, whom you gave credit for saving the merry-go-round, and 64s from Watts that you said helped save the nursery. It was every time you were on the news, Tom, it was such a feeling for us and really the city. We knew up to date what was happening. We knew the resources that were going to be there. You gave a sense of calm and peace to a city that was very, very nervous about the fire in Griffith Park. We all love that park, but no one loves it like you. Saw you on the Today Show. Again, it was great watching you. We were very proud to see a council member right there on the front lines fighting this fire along with the fire department. So thank you. We know that was an exhausting week for you. We know it was sad for you to lose some of the things that you cared about. But I'll tell you, you gave a great sense to the city. Every time we saw you on TV, we knew what was happening, where it was going, and it was great to see you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn, very much. I appreciate it. I also want to thank the mayor. I want to thank the mayor because the mayor was right there with me.
Okay.
I want to thank him, Janice. I took him right into a burn area, and we almost got burned up.
Okay. Thank the mayor.
Mr. Parks, you have an announcement followed by Mr. Zine.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I'd just like to announce that Budget and Finance Committee starts at 1 o'clock this afternoon. We get the CLA's report. Just a couple of community events. May 26th, Saturday, 9:30 to 11:30. The 8th District Energy Fair at the Jesse Brewer Park. Also, the 5th annual Los Angeles Neighborhood Initiative Community Forum will be Thursday, May 17th, 8 o'clock to 2:30 at the Davison Center at USC, and then that should do it.
Thank you. Mr. Zine.
I just wanted to add to what Councilor Mahan has said. Also, Eric Garcetti, I saw you there also at the fire. But Tom Labange wasn't only doing the media reports, he became an anchor for KCBS Channel 2. They offered him a position as an anchor at KCBS, but he was calling airstrikes with the air operations. So every time we have a fire in Los Angeles, let's get Tom Labange to the scene, because he'll be able to handle it and bring sense and order. So, Tom, congratulations. I was watching it, and you let people know that you were there. I know you always want to be a fireman. We know that LAPD takes everyone, but fire department doesn't take everyone. We know that.
You're going to climate change.
Thanks.
Ms. President, I wanted to announce, colleagues, that today is Bill Rosenthal's birthday.
Yeah.
So we wanted to wish him a very happy birthday, and maybe sing him a little quick happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bill. Happy birthday to you. And many, many more. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. Yes, Mr.
Billy,
Alacone. Yes, Ms.
I just want to know, is that why Billy got a haircut? It's his birthday. It's a...
Billy.
I could retire.
Hey, we're politicians. We're always getting haircuts.
Yes, just a quick announcement. The bus to go to the climate change event will be leaving momentarily, so as soon as we are finished here. Mr. Alacone.
Madam President, members, I just want to remind everybody in Channel 35 land that today is Election Day. If you haven't voted, please go out and vote. I want to point out that Councilmember Cardenas has 2 stickers because he voted twice today, and perfectly legally in doing so, he had 2 ballots in his precinct. But I do want to remind everybody that in the last election process, we had probably the lowest voter turnout, and I hope that today we don't improve on that record.
Break the 7% record.
We want to increase the number of voters at the polls.
Thank you.
Richard, you got elected.
Yes,
it was good.
I just wanted to point out that in the Northeast San Fernando Valley, there are actually 2 tables. You have to sign in twice. You sign in at the county table, which you'll probably be voting on a community college board person, and then you have to go to the next table, which is the city table, and then at that table you can vote for the vacated assembly seat, the 39th assembly seat. So please, that's why I have 2 stickers. This is not Chicago. We don't vote early and often here.
You voted twice.
I did vote twice. I actually signed the document twice. They looked my name up twice, and I got 2 different ballots. They were obviously different purposes, but it's really different and odd. So the polls are not closed yet. So if somebody's watching this today, Tuesday the 15th, please remember, if you're in the Northeast Valley, pay special attention, because there are 2 tables if you're in that assembly seat. There are 2 tables to go to, so you have to sign in your name in at one table, vote, give it back to them, go to another table, sign in, vote, and then give it back to them. So it's kind of awkward, but I just wanted to take this opportunity to remind people that in the Northeast Valley, today is the only day you get to vote twice.
Thank you. Mr. Zine? Mr. Reyes? No? Okay. We have adjourning motions? Yes. If we could ask everyone to please rise.
Who's up?
Thank you. Mr. Parks.
Okay. Thank you, Madam President. I'd ask that we adjourn in memory of Bryant Anthony Tennell, who was killed in a random shooting at the 1800 block of 80th Street on May 11th, 2007. Bryant is the son of LAPD officer Wallace Tennell. There will be a candlelight vigil held Wednesday, May 17th, 7 p.m. at the 1800 block of 80th Street at St. Andrews, and the services are scheduled for Friday at Holy Cross Cemetery, 5835 West Slauson at 11:30 a.m. He's survived by his 2 siblings and his mom and dad.
All members.
Second.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Zine.
Madam President, Sandra Phyllis Landrum passed away April 19th. Sandra Phyllis Landrum was born October 2nd, 1937 in Toronto, Canada. Moved to Los Angeles with her parents after World War II. Became an American citizen at 17 years of age. Graduated from Los Angeles High School. Was a resident of Los Angeles until the late 80s and early 90s when she moved to Carlsbad. Passed away after an extended illness on April 19th. Her nephew, Detective Lou Coven, Los Angeles Police Department, and her great-nephew, Rob Rand, are both Los Angeles police officers. She was a warm, caring, and fun-loving person. She'll be greatly missed by all of her family and friends. Survived by her fiancé, Dr. Gerald Bongard, her nephew, LAPD officer, Detective Louis Coven, her great-nephew, Officer Rob Rand of Los Angeles Police Department, her brother, Sidney Coven, Phyllis Crench, and her lifelong friend of 55 years. May Sandra Phyllis Landrum rest in peace.
Thank you, Mr. Zion. And any other adjourning motions? If not, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. This meeting is now adjourned.